Hi everyone, and welcome to another Very Merry reading vlog. It is day 6 of a Very Merry Readathon. If you didn't watch my first 2 reading vlogs for this week, I'll leave a link to them up in the eye in the corner. I would highly recommend watching those ones before this one so you know what the heck is going on. But it is day 6, as I said. I just got home from work and I'm still reading Little Women. I am on page 278. I'm more than halfway through it. I've only got that much left. And I'm thinking, because if you watched my last reading vlog, you'll know that yesterday I got a pretty horrible headache, and that was the second one that I got this week, so it stopped me from reading quite a bit. Oh look, my heat just turned on. Who's surprised? Nobody. We're gonna carry through. The headache I got last night, that was the second one that I got this week, and it really put a damper on my reading because it's just like hours of me not being able to read even though I really want to. So I'm kind of thinking that I may give myself a one-day extension of the readathon to make up for the 2 horrible headaches that I got this week. So I might do that depending on if I'm unable to finish all of the books before the end of tomorrow, which is kind of looking like that's what's going to happen, but we'll just see when we get there. Tonight is actually the night of our watch-along of A Christmas Carol, so that starts at 8 and it's currently 6:49, so I've got a little over an hour to prepare for the watch-along. We're going to be watching the 2009 version of A Christmas Carol with Jim Carrey in it, and this is only my second time ever watching that version. But the first time that I saw it, I really liked it, and then after I watched that, I ended up reading A Christmas Carol for the first time, and I feel like that version of the film is very like true to the book. Like a lot of the quotes from the movie just come straight out of the book. So I think after I watch the movie tonight, I'm gonna jump into A Christmas Carol tonight and just put Little Women on hold for a little bit. So yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do, and we'll just see what happens over the next few days. Hi guys, so it is now the next day, which technically makes it the final day of the readathon. I just got home from work, but this morning I made a little post to the Twitter account saying that because of the 2 massive headaches / migraines that I got this week, I have decided to give myself a one-day extension to myself and anybody else who might need it for this readathon. So we are not technically going to be ending this readathon tonight. It is going to end tomorrow night at midnight. So I've got one little bonus Jonas day for reading, and so does anybody else who chooses to take the little extension. So as far as a reading update, I read the entirety of A Christmas Carol. This is my very big collection of Christmas books. A Christmas Carol is actually only about 70 pages in this collection, and not surprisingly, I super enjoyed it again. I think the first time I read it, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. The second time I read it, 5 out of 5 stars. Also, our watch-along was last night, and that was super fun also. I think I said yesterday that that was only my second time watching this version of A Christmas Carol, and it's a lot creepier than I remember it being. Like, it's not, like, gonna give me nightmares or anything like that, or it didn't, because it happened last night and I went to bed just fine. But it really is quite dark, and it was criticized for being quite dark in tone, but I actually think that's my favorite thing about that adaptation, besides Jim Carrey, because I love Jim Carrey. But I think the best thing about that adaptation is how dark it is. Because it is a true, like, Christmas ghost story, which is, you know, spooky. And like it says in the song, I always wondered why, like, that tradition was lost in Christmas, because in that one song, I forget which one it is, where it says, we tell scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of Christmases long, long ago. Why isn't telling ghost stories on Christmas still a tradition besides A Christmas Carol? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I really enjoyed the watch along last night. I enjoyed reading A Christmas Carol. So now I'm going to jump back into Little Women, and tomorrow I think I'm actually going to pick up another book that I should be able to read pretty quickly, as well as hopefully finishing Little Women, but we'll just have to see what happens. So it is now the unofficial, official last day of the readathon, the bonus day, if you will, day 8, also known as. This morning I woke up and I read the entirety of Wonderstruck by Brian Selznick. This is written by the same author of The Invention of Hugo Cabret, which I read earlier this week, and much like that book, this book consists of a lot of illustrations. I'm pretty sure this one probably has even more illustrations in it than Hugo Cabret. Like, at least more than half of this book is made up of just pictures. So even though it's like 600 and something pages, I read it in a little over an hour. This is my 3rd time reading it, and once again, I super loved it. If you don't know what this book is about, it is historical fiction. It's also a middle grade, and we're following 2 characters during 2 different timelines. The first character we're following is called Ben, and he's a little boy that was born deaf in one ear, and due to an incident that happens, he becomes deaf in both ears, and his story is told through the words, and it's set in the 70s. And then we're also following a little girl called Rose, and she is born deaf in both ears, and her story is set during the 20s, and it's told through the illustrations. So it's a really interesting format, and it's also just such a lovely story, and it has great representation in it. So this works for 2 challenges, the Tiny Tim challenge, which is to read a book with disability representation, and then also the Ghost of Christmas Present challenge, which is to read a book you feel like reading in the present, because this morning when I was making my coffee, I just randomly felt like I really wanted to read this book, and I did, and I read it really quickly. So yeah, that is my 3rd book read for the readathon, I think. So now all of the challenges are completed except for the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come, and for that I just have to finish Little Women, which I'm currently exactly 300 pages into this book. So I have about 170 pages left, and I'm trying to like break it down for myself so that I can read it before the end of today. So I'm thinking if I read 100 pages this afternoon and then 70 pages this evening/night, then I'll have finished the book. But I'm not really sure because I do read this very slowly. So we'll just have to cross our fingers and hope for the best. As far as other stuff I want to do today, right now I am going to go out and run a couple of errands, but hopefully they won't take me very long, and I will be home shortly to get back into reading. And then also tonight I would like to finally wrap presents. I have been trying to wrap presents like all week, and every single time just something comes up or I like don't feel good and then I don't end up doing it, but I really hope to do it tonight because I really need to wrap these presents. And also wrapping presents is like one of my favorite things to do during Christmas. So hopefully I'll finally get it done tonight. But for now, I'm gonna go run some errands and then let's get back and get to reading. So it is now 7:08 in the evening. I have changed out of my sweater from earlier because every single year I try so hard to be a Christmas sweater person. Even like this week alone, I've tried 3 times to wear a Christmas sweater, and every single time I last about 30 seconds and then I start to overheat and I'm like, well, time for a tank top. So here we are. I tried to make it festive by adding a nice necklace. So like I said, it is already 7 o'clock in the evening. There's only a couple hours left until the bonus day of the readathon is over. I am on page 370 of Little Women, so I'm basically exactly 100 pages from the end. I'd have liked to have been a little bit further than that at this point in the day, but like I said earlier, I read this pretty slowly, so I guess I'm making kind of good progress considering how slowly I do read this book. But I am still really enjoying it. I just read the scene between Laurie and Joe, which I have to say, I think the scene in the book is even more dramatic than it is in the movie, but I love that. And now Amy and Laurie have just like reconnected for the first time in Europe, and that makes me really happy also. Even though I have 100 pages left to read, if I had to give this book a rating right now, I would probably give it 5 out of 5 stars because I just am loving this so much. I thoroughly enjoy these characters and how well they are written, and I think if I wasn't such a character-driven reader, I probably wouldn't enjoy it as much because this isn't the kind of story that I would usually read, but the fact that I am such a character-driven reader and these characters are like so well written and just such lovable characters, I think that's why I'm enjoying it so much. And it's funny because there's actually several parts of this book where I find myself being kind of really bored, but the parts when I'm not bored and when I am enjoying it, like, I love those parts so much and I love the characters so much that they completely make up for the more boring parts, and so I would still give it 5 out of 5 stars. So it's kind of strange, and I hope that that makes sense, but I just can't explain how much I love these characters. So I think I'm going to wrap some presents now, as I have been waiting to do all week, and then I'm going to jump back into the last 100 pages of this book, and hopefully I will finish it before the clock strikes midnight. So it is now 10 o'clock in the evening. Things are different, as you can see. My mom gave me an early Christmas present of these glasses that I have wanted basically my whole life, just to complete my nerdy bookworm dreams. So now I have a pair of glasses that I will not be taking off for the foreseeable future. You will see them in all of my videos until I inevitably sit on them and break them, which is what has happened to every pair of sunglasses I have ever owned. But what we're really here to talk about is the fact that I finished Little Women. I loved it. I've talked about it a lot at this point. Y'all know I love it. I don't honestly have much else to say except that I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it's one of my new favorite classics. Like, I can honestly say that this is probably my second favorite classic, right under Rebecca. Maybe it's definitely in my top 5, that's for sure. I'd have to think about it for a little bit, but I really enjoyed it. And this completes the challenge of the Ghost of Christmas Future, which is to read a book that intimidates you. This definitely intimidated me for several reasons. You can watch my TBR video if you want to know specifically, but I've completed all of the challenges, including the bonus one of reading A Christmas Carol, so that is how many books did I read this week? 4, and I completed all 6 challenges, so I would say it was a pretty successful readathon, even though I had to give myself a whole extra day, but yeah, that's basically all. I think I've probably dragged this on long enough. So if you also participated in a Very Merry Readathon, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what your favorite book was that you read this week. I hope you all enjoyed this reading vlog. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!
You hear that, Samson?